Sit for a moment, just quietly sitting. Just unwind and relax. See if you can just simply allow yourself to be without being this or that as you normally are. Just simply allow yourself to sit, relax, and just be without being anything. You don't have to be anything to be. That's the first thing you should know. This is how we can start to let go of all the distractions, all the turmoil. Just simply sitting and just being. That can be the whole meditation. To call the meditation of non-doing. So those of you who are not used to this type of meditation, just do the best you can. And I will clarify more as we go on. So if you can just simply sit, allow yourself to just be, what happens is that a natural peace, natural quietude starts to automatically manifest. We will start to feel more peaceful, more calm, more quiet. By simply not doing anything other than just being. This is how simple it can be. And those of you who can't just be, who can't just allow yourself to be, no problem. In order to quiet the mind, find an object. For instance, like your breath. Just be one with your breath. Just be present to and with your breath. Just be present or aware as you breathe out, as you breathe in, as you breathe out, as you breathe in, as you breathe out, as you breathe in. That's all you have to do. Just stay with your breath. Just be aware of your breath. And that'll automatically calm and quiet the mind. Because the breath is not separate from the mind. So if you are just being the breath, then the breath is the mind. Mind is the breath. All right, take a break. Tracy, how can you do the screen so I can see more people? I can only see like 3 or 4 people.
3 or 4 people. If you go up to the right hand of your screen, the upper right hand, you'll see a button that says speaker view or gallery view.
Okay, I see it.
Gallery, click on that. And then you'll see.
All right, now I can see people.
Great. And if you guys can, if you're not on cell phones, go ahead and start your video so Brendan can see you guys. Brendan, can you start your video too?
Yeah, how do I do that?
You go to the lower left-hand part of the screen and you'll see
Start video.
that's the one.
Okay.
Yay.
Yay!
Hey.
There he is.
And hello everyone else, we can see you too. It's wonderful to see you all.
I gotta check, see who's here.
Can you see all the names?
Yeah. Yeah, a lot of the people I don't know, but that's okay.
Sharon from Boston.
Hi, Sharon.
Hey, Tracy.
Anyone else who wants to pop in and say hi, please do, and introduce yourself to Brendan.
So,
Hi, Brendan. It's Carol.
hi, Carol. I knew you were on. I saw you in the name.
I wore the face mask you gave me all through India and Bulgaria. Thank you so much.
Good. So let's start. So I want to start by asking you, why are you here? Just if you can answer and clarify that. So it may be self-evident to you. It's so self-evident, you're not even conscious of it. That's the way we act a lot of the times, out of habit. So we're not totally present and clear. Just by asking these unexpected questions, you can begin to be aware and clear the things that you were not clear or not aware. And this can be part of the practice. For most of us now, we're just aware of a natural field. We're not small spectrum. And we're not aware of all the other things. And we're only aware what we're habitually aware. We're mostly aware what we're used to being aware. We're not really aware of all the things that are going on. We're just aware of what we're used to being aware of. That's how we are stuck. That's one of the purpose of the practice. Start to see things that you didn't see before. Start to be aware of the things that you were not aware before. That's what meditation helps you to do. We become more awake. We begin to have a bigger perspective. Not be stuck in the habitual narrow perspective we're used to. Another thing I want to say is a lot of us are here in a way. We're dealing with this problem right now, the pandemic. We're scared, we're uncertain, and we're trying to look for different ways to deal with it. So, a way of saying it is, if you're not clear or certain the way things are, the way you are, we're lost. We go from one thing to the other. We don't know what to take refuge in. We really don't know what's going to allay the fear and the uncertainty and the anxiety. So we're looking. This is what we do in difficult times, in challenging times. We're looking because we have not really clarified or practiced to become clear of the refuge that you can take refuge in. This is why it's important to practice. Important to develop a refuge so we can take refuge. We can take refuge in something in these times. This is kind of a general situation, but each of us are constantly going through these different situations. We're challenged, we're anxious, we're fearful, we're uncertain. This isn't something totally new. What's new here is the proportion, the extent. But throughout our lives, we're constantly challenged. Because the situation is bad and is not bad enough, so we don't really try to look, clarify, or establish the refuge. That refuge which we can have all the time, which we can take refuge in whenever we need to. But the refuge is not separate from when you don't need to take refuge. Once you become clear of the refuge, once you begin to experience the refuge, that feeling or experience of refuge is always with you. And you will always feel more secure, more confident, and more clear. This is reason to really clarify, establish your refuge. Not only in the hard times. We can always use it. It transforms us. It supports us. Not only in hard times.
I'll still make something for dinner. Did you have some dinner?
Huh?
I think Ellie has her button unmuted.
How do I? Where did I go wrong?
I
I
think-
see.
Thanks, Ellie. Go ahead, Brenda. Keep going.
Okay. So anybody have any questions so far? Am I first of all, am I BSing you, or is there any truth or validity to what I'm saying?
Can you talk about what you mean by refuge?
Something that you can trust.
Well, I could trust that my dog is happy when I come home.
Okay, that's a partial refuge. All right, so when you have other anxieties, so you can take refuge in your dog, that's fine, nothing wrong with that. Can you take totally refuge in your dog? Like when you're dying?
No.
When you're totally lost?
No, I was
That's
just
what we're looking for. Go ahead.
no. When you said something, you can take refuge in. So I wanted you to describe what that something is a little more.
It can be different for each of us. For some people, it's God. For some people, it's a genuine friendship. Some people, it's nature. But we're looking for a reliable, consistent, dependable refuge. That's what we want in the refuge. We don't want a fly-by-night refuge. We don't want a one-night stand refuge.
No.
So in Buddhism, when we take refuge in the Buddha, Dharma, and the Sangha. So Buddha is like the source of all refuge. And there's many different ways of looking at Buddha. For some people, Buddha is some person. For some people, Buddha is not a person. Buddha is an enlightened mind. We can look at it as an enlightened being, and we can look at it as an enlightened mind. So we should be clear, what's it mean? What is enlightened mind? We can say, what is an enlightened person? I think most of us have some idea that Buddha is a free person, not a ignorant person. Buddha is a person who is capable of helping all people. Buddha is a person capable of helping not only the Buddhist, but the non-Buddhist, everybody. If he's only going to help the Buddhist, then he's not really a Buddha. And the Dharma is the skillful means or the method or the teaching to realize what the Buddha embodies. So here you see I'm dichotomizing because I'm looking at the Buddha as a person, what he embodies. But Buddha can be a Buddha without being a person. For most of us, we don't see the Buddha in that way. So the Dharma is the embodiment of him or her, or the enlightened mind manifesting. And as his teaching, as a way for others to become like him, to be what he is, what he has realized, what he has achieved. And the Sangha is the body of all people practicing Buddhism to support each other. So we take refuge in the Buddha, and we take refuge in his teaching, and we take refuge in each other to support us. That's what it means when we say take refuge in Buddha, Dharma, and Sangha. We don't just take refuge in Buddha, because he's enlightened, we're going to forget about the others. No. The important thing to remember is difference between Buddha and you and me is like superficial. We underneath are no different than Buddha. Our essence is no different than Buddha. The practice or way of awakening is merely getting rid of or working through that prevents us from being the Buddha or who we really are. Removing the obstacles and obscurations and obstructions. That's all we're doing. So there's a physical law, law of physics. Something can come from nothing. Also in spiritual. If it isn't already present, then it can't happen. Something can come from nothing. Just like in physical law, but matter can neither be created or destroyed, but it can be changed from one form to the other. Just as with mind. Mind cannot be created or destroyed. Buddha mind cannot be created or destroyed, but it can be changed. It can manifest in unlimited ways. So we're here to find what can help us to deal with this major problem that's happening now and all the other problems that we have when we don't have this major problem. Human beings are never without any problems. Are you an exception? Are you a human being without any problems whatsoever? I would like to meet you if you are. So we're here to support each other. We're here to see if we can find something that can start to help us to deal with this problem and all the other problems that we have throughout our lives. Seems like no one is free from that. Unless you're totally awakened, then you don't. Then you are free. Then you are free from problems. So, in a way, problems come from really not knowing who we really are and not knowing the true nature of all things. That's why we're ignorant. That's what it means when it says we're ignorant. We're ignorant of who we really are, and we're ignorant of the true nature of all things. It doesn't mean we're ignorant of not knowing how to fix the car. So how does the ignorance manifest? One simple way is the way we perceive things. If we were perceiving everything that we perceive correctly, or the way it really is, then there wouldn't be any problem. So how do we start to misperceive? All right, anybody here can tell me? How do you misperceive what you're perceiving? If you were perceiving correctly, then you wouldn't have to learn constantly to correct yourself.
Well, one way is we're told from the minute we're born by our parents. This is this way, this is that way.
That's right. And you're not only that, you're born. In Buddhism, we're born with our karma. We don't come into this world on a blank slate. We got timeless imprints in our mind. That's what karma means. We have all these predispositions. In this life, they start to manifest. Our pre-existing habitual tendency to start to interact what's going on in this life and interact with each other. Of course, the parents is helpful in their own way. But in terms of not being, of course, the parents is much wiser than the child. But the parents are not ignorant. They are. They misperceive. That's why they make the same mistakes over and over. Even though they have a lot of experience, they've learned a lot, but they still make the same mistakes. And to prove my point, is there anybody here who don't make the same mistakes? Huh? Come on. We do. That's just the way, that's the part of the delusion, part of the ignorance. Once we start to clarify, once we start to meditate, once we start to practice, once we start to transform ourselves, we start making less mistakes. We start making especially the same mistakes less. So when we started the meditation, I said, just sit and just be. And that can be complete and total. So how many of us here can actually do that? It's not complicated, right? Do I need to explicate further what I was saying? Everybody understood what I was saying. But how many of you were actually able to do it? In fact, I'd be interested to see what you experienced when you started to just be without being anything. What did you start to experience? What went through your mind? What was happening when I asked you to do that? If you were able to do it, what did you experience? If you weren't able to do it, what did you experience? Why weren't you able to do it? What got in the way? What prevented you from doing it?
Hello.
Yes.
The constant challenge that I have is that I can get into seconds of peace, and then my mind starts going, oh, I have to make dinner. Oh, I have an itch. And there's this chatter that
Right.
comes up. And the way I've been trained is acknowledge that and then go back to the practice.
Exactly.
So that's what I've been working on.
That's great. That's what we do. Even though we start out with a second, and that's the taste. It's very important. Don't undervalue that. That's where we start from. What's going to happen the more you do it? The more you become familiar, more that state of peace and calm will become clearer, stronger. But it's just a matter of doing the work. It's not complicated, right? What complicates things is our habitual tendencies and our attachment. I want to go back to this thing that I'm going to have more fun with. So that's actually the Mara. Mara of seduction. So you know what to do. It's just a matter of doing it. That's where you have to clarify to yourself, how bad do I want it? How much are you willing to invest? Only way it's going to happen is by doing it, meaning by practicing. That's why practice is so important. Most of the time, practice is easy. I mean, the instruction, how to do the practice, is not so difficult. What makes it difficult is your habit, your attachment, karmic predispositions. See, that's why we're not free. We're under the grips of our predispositions, our attachments. See that? Can you begin to see how that prevents you from being free? So what did you experience when I gave you that meditation instruction when we started out? Anybody else? If you were able to do it, what did you experience? If you weren't able to do it, what did you experience?
Hello? I experienced just a state of being. There was no story. It was just a sense of being, presence, with no story attached to it.
Exactly. That's exactly. But the
Felt good.
thing, go ahead, Carol.
I said it felt very good, very
Yeah.
peaceful.
But the thing is, here, the preconditioning comes in. I gotta be doing something. This can't be it. This is too simple. It's too good to be true. There has to be more to this than what it is. But it's just by simply doing that simple, just being. At first, it's not a big deal. Even though you may begin to feel the peace and calm. And the secret is you keep on doing it. And the unimaginable, the unthought of begins to manifest. And there's no way you can pre-visualize. The only way you can clarify is doing it, and it becomes clearer, and it self-manifests. That's how it works. And lesson you should learn from this, when you receive a practice, you can't visualize clearly the outcome of the practice until you start doing the practice. You know, some of us, we want things figured out. If you can't figure it out before, you can't do it. See, that's a mistake. So just a simple meditation. And there's many different ways of doing it. Basically, mind, the true nature is the pure mind, the Buddha mind. The reason why mind can't be pure or what it is basically it's being something what it is not. That is what's happening. The practice is, if we can just simply start to be, if we can just simply start to be the mind, not all the things that the mind perceives, feels, and experiences, it will automatically start to be what it is. So this is like the whole practice. in a nutshell. This is the general wide framework. You can see me, but I can't see you. So any questions and comments? What I've said so far, what we've done?
Hi, Brendan, it's Libby.
Yes.
It's always helpful to be reminded of the simplicity of the practice because as I've said before, I start getting wound up in like trying to make it something. And so it's very helpful to be reminded to stop trying to make it into something that it's
Right.
not.
Right. That's what happens to most of us. We just can't let things be as they are. If you can just simply start to let things be as they are, everything is going to shift. You start to see what you didn't see before. And don't forget, when you start to let things be as they are, you're automatically starting to allow your mind to be what it is. So is this too new for most of you or what?
Hi, Brendan. It's Faith. I find that training my mind is very helpful to hear you give these verbal cues and to remind us that it's simple, because then I find myself getting much less muddy, and I can sort of focus in quicker and drop in and stay there longer. So it's a process, and it's gradually getting better. And I seem to find a more intuitive approach to which practice is going to be the method that will best accomplish that.
So let me ask you, the people that I haven't heard from. So is this too complicated? Is this too boring or what? Or are you turned off my appearance? Turned off by my appearance?
Brendan, for me, it's Tracy. For me, the instructions right at the beginning, and then this discussion has it's like pressing the reset button on my understanding of things from this perspective. I experienced a weight lifting off of my shoulders, and like a moment of space where there felt like no expectations, no from me or whatever I was perceiving from anyone else. Just like a couple of good breaths of that when we did the practice at the beginning. And then I thought, you know, I know the practice is to come back to that. And then I thought, it's so much easier when Brendan tells me to do it than if I tell myself, you know, if I say, okay, just be, but the just be is like, just be, okay, just be. But then when you say it, you know, I'm like, oh yeah, okay. There's some trust there, right? There's like trust when someone else tells you.
That's
to do
the,
something. So
yeah.
that was helpful.
Call it whatever you want.
Right.
I'm not going to say it.
I said it already.
But you see, that is huge, Tracy. That is so valuable. Maybe for most of us, we're not even clear. We don't even know that that exists. But that simple feeling, actually starting to experience, even for a second, that we don't have to be anything.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have to do anything. Wow. That could be incredible freedom. All our lives, most of us, one thing after another. We think we have to do this. We think we have to be this. How many of you are really free from that? Let me ask you.
I know I'm not.
What about others? Come on, speak up. Least you can say is no or yes or maybe or whatever. Are you guys shy or embarrassed to say anything?
Hi, Brendan. It's Faith again. I am shy, but I'm going to talk anyway. Yeah. A few little moments of freedom is all it takes to just keep me going. It doesn't have to be very much. It's just one little taste, and then it comes a little bit more frequently the next time. And it's asking me to be patient with myself. And so that's a great freeing thing for me, is the idea that I can have patience with myself.
Well, patience is one of the 6 paramitas, 6 perfections.
1 down, 5 to go.
And remember, 6 perfections are not separate as we may think they are.
Right. I don't get this. I don't know I don't know what I'm supposed to do in order to speak up.
You're doing it, Barbara.
Oh!
We hear you.
Oh, jeez.
Go ahead. The floor is yours.
You don't have to do anything. You don't have to be anything.
Well, I don't know. I think I pressed something. You mean you've heard me before? No. Yeah, I had this on mute or something. I don't know. I don't know what I had it on. But anyway, I wanted to say to Brendan, does Brendan hear me?
Yes.
Oh, okay. Of course, I've never repeated any mistake ever, but yeah, I've never failed to follow through on something. But no, it's I'm so glad. tuned this on and made sure I had the right time because I really wanted to be with Sangha again. And not just, I felt that need. And what Terry said, it is silly but true. When you would tell me to just be sometimes on the phone, and I said, and then finally I could just be. But recently, and tonight, it's today I can feel more at peace, and I think the situation now has forced me that I had to find again in my heart and life that trust, because I've known there's nothing else, and was filled with fear that I could not trust myself or trust what I know, what I've known. And I'm happy to be here with you, with everybody, and I can just be more. And when I'm just being and not worrying, things do flow, and I am more clear and wise. And I'm gonna shut up now.
Okay, good.
Good, Lisa.
You don't have to be more. Just be, okay? Don't try to be more. Just be.
Thank you. I've always tried to be more somehow, looking to be more in the practice and everything.
Okay, good. Thank you.
And that, yeah,
Thank you,
and that,
Barbara.
thank you. Thank you.
So when I say just be, you could say, what the hell are you talking about? I'm always being. You are right. You are always being. But you are being this or that. That's why you can't just be. There's a huge difference between just being and constantly being this or that. There's nothing wrong with being this or that if you're not lost in this or that. But most of us, whatever we're being, we're lost in that. We're focused on that. So we don't see anything else. We're limited by what we're being. If you're not lost in that, you can be that, see that, and also be able to see all the other things at the same time. Since you won't answer me whether whether you understand or not or whatever, well, let me ask you, what I'm saying, is it helpful at all? Then if it's not, I'm wasting my time and I'm wasting your time. No? I know you.
I don't,
Go
hi,
ahead.
I'm not sure how to talk on this thing either, but obviously I must be doing it on Zoom. Do you hear me?
Who are you? Who's speaking?
Janet.
Oh,
Janet.
Janet.
Yeah, I'm new to Zoom, so I'm not really sure how
Okay,
to.
you're doing it. I hear you clearly.
But you can't see me.
I can see you also.
Oh, okay, good.
I
So
can
for
feel
me,
you also.
I was late getting myself set up, so by the time I spent more of my time actually fiddling with my cushions and all that kind of stuff. So the, it took me a while to just settle down. So the moments of just being were pretty short. But you hear, I wasn't able to just be and, get my seat and figure out what I was doing with my phone and all that in time to
Okay.
join.
So in this practice, it's not the quantity. It's not the length. It's the genuineness of that present moment. That is what's so important. I know we automatically, the stages I went through in the beginning, when I started to feel something good, I don't know where it came from, but I just automatically thought that it should be longer. And that's a huge distraction.
It's a good reminder, though. I mean, I'm really happy to hear you say just be, because I do spend a good portion of my time just, going from one thing that I'm trying to accomplish to the other, and distractions in between.
Right. We all do. You're not the only one. That's this sickness of can't just be. You have to constantly do things.
Yes. Thank you.
In a way, the coronavirus can't just be. It has to constantly be, affect other people, infect other people. That's its nature. And this is our karma. So we all have this habitual tendency. We have to be something. We have to do something. Of course you have to do that. You have to take out the garbage or whatever, okay? But a lot of the things that are not necessary, we do it out of habit. And that's the waste of time.
Hey, Brandon, can you hear me?
Yes.
Mateo's here. So I just want to share that for me today, what really stood up for me is when you were speaking about the freedom of not being and not doing. And for me, I think as you give us these explanations, as Tracy was mentioning me, how you guide us, there is it's a little easier, of course, with you guiding us and guiding me, I would say. But also for me, the freedom is not coming from not being, but especially by not doing. There is something that I'm discovering with your guidance, that whenever I allow myself not to search, to stop searching for a specific experience, to a specific place, and I drop the do, even like inside my mind, that's when I start to experience the relaxation or the calmness. And it's amazing how it starts to give me the taste of effortlessness. And
Right.
that's very new. That's very new and very surprising. So I'm very thankful for, little by little, step by step, learn about the importance of non-doing.
Yeah. non-doing and non-being. Don't forget, that doesn't mean you don't do anything or you can't be anything, all right? So don't take it that way.
Sure.
It's not the doing or being something, as I said before, is the problem. What you're doing or what you're being becomes something that is separate from you. See, that's where the delusion is. Separate from the mind. Nothing is separate from the mind. That's the first thing you should be able to clarify to yourself. If you didn't have the mind, you wouldn't be seeing anything. You wouldn't be feeling anything. You wouldn't be experiencing anything. There would be absolutely nothing if you didn't have the mind. So first thing you should know, nothing is separate from mind. There can't be anything without mind. Of course, you're going to say, of course there's going to be something without the mind. That's just conceptual fabrication. Hello, I got cut off.
You're still with us, Brendan.
I wonder, my screen went blank. I don't know what's going on. Oh my God. Oh, okay, I'm back.
Okay, good.
Good.
There's a comment from Deborah whose microphone is not working. Do you want me to read it?
Deborah Kreisberg?
Yep.
Oh yeah, of course.
Okay. So Deborah says, so basically, when I am quiet and settled, I'm able to see what arises or what moves. The mind is always moving. Thoughts are movement. If I watch, I can see that everything I perceive can't be the self. But what we can't
be what?
Can't be the self. But what I can see is that arising takes place in something that doesn't move, something that is stable. So I can rest there. I can view both the perceiver and what is being perceived.
Okay. The self, you mean in terms of Ramana Maharshi's self, Deborah?
That's a good clarification. Deborah, go ahead and type that.
You're not talking about the small self. Self is me, mine, and I.
Yeah, she's saying, yes, not the I am,
Yeah,
but the
not the
mind
I
self.
self. Okay.
Yeah.
Not the blind self. See, the self is used, let me clarify it for others. In Buddhists, the self is this feeling of me, mine, being separate from others, being separate from what it sees. And that's the thing that we really feel that is real, solid. And that's like the base. Self is like the base of all our misperceptions and delusions. Because when we feel that way, when we start to see, feel, and experience, whatever we're perceiving, feeling, and experience is going to be the same. It's going to appear real, solid, separate. That's why one Buddhist teacher says, no self, no problem. Now, the self way Deborah used is way the Vedanta masters use the self. Self is same as the pure mind, awakened mind, the Buddha mind, okay? So this can be really confusing. So you can distinguish that by the big unlimited self and the small self that each individual has. Okay? Good.
Catherine, give it a try again. See if you can tap the microphone button on your phone, because I heard you a couple of comments ago. So it seems like your microphone will work. There you go.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh, wonderful. So now you're hearing me? Oh,
Yeah.
okay. So I'm Catherine Brandon, and I'm from France. I don't know. Do you hear me?
Vive la France!
Yeah. And I've been listening to you for a while, and I wanted to thank you, for your teaching. And I wanted to say that, I'm thinking of all of you, and when you were speaking about refuge, for me it's so important, especially nowadays, with all this, with what is happening.
Right, that's what I was saying.
And because I'm thinking of all these people who don't have the opportunity
Right.
to take refuge, like we have.
Right.
And how to help, in this time of big
difficult time, yeah.
Difficult time, yeah. So anyway, I wanted to thank you and say hi to Tracy and say hi to Carol.
Thank you, Catherine.
Yes, thank you.
Yes, time of uncertainty.
Yeah.
Time
Brendan.
of constant change. Go ahead, who's?
Brendan, can you hear me? It's Gene. Gene Edworthy, my old friend.
I thought you died. Already went to heaven. What the hell are you doing back?
Hey, my friend. I had trouble with my microphone, so I'm using my phone for the microphone, but I've got my video on the computer.
All right.
Anyway, it's
of course
great
I remember you.
It is great to hear you. It's great to have refuge in you as well. This virus has, I think, brought awareness to all of us in the world that we're all in this together. And
exactly.
I think that it is awakening in all of us the fragility of what we consider normal. And I think that to me, part of refuge is trust in the path, trust in the Dharma, trust in the universe. And I take refuge in that trust. And when I get back to what you were asking us to do at the beginning, to just be, I also have a knowingness when I am just being. And that knowingness is part of the trust. It's the trust that this is all part of the plan and we're all okay.
Yeah. There's always knowingness, but most of us don't really see that or experience that because we're lost in something. But if we're not lost in anything, automatically we're not anything, and there is that knowingness. You don't have to know anything to know.
Totally.
This is called clear knowing, empty knowing. This is the knowing that we want to become familiar, that we want to realize. So refuge is one of my favorite subjects, and we're running out of time. Maybe next time I can talk more about refuge, because I'm beginning to discover everything boils down to refuge. Why are we taking refuge? We're taking refuge so we can become the refuge, so we don't have to take refuge anymore. When we become the refuge, we automatically become the refuge for everybody.
And I think that's part of what our mission is right now in this world, is to become part of that refuge for all the people that are in fear, all the people that are not in knowing.
You see, we take refuge in the Buddha, who is omniscient, all-knowing, all-perfect. All right, that's good. But a lot of us, Buddha is not so close by. So we take refuge in each other. We don't have to take refuge in each other's shit. We can take refuge in each other's goodness. We can take refuge in each other's caringness. This is why we will get through. But we have to stick together. Sticking together means taking refuge in each other, but at the same time taking refuge in the Buddha.
Yes, my friend.
Yeah. Tracy, our time is up, right?
Do you want me to ring a little bell or something? Ding, ding.
I mean, we're
I'm just
going
kidding.
from 7 to 8:30, right?
Yeah, that's great.
Okay.
That's great.
So,
do you want to dedicate the merit?
oh, absolutely. You do the dedication.
Let's do.
We'll follow you.
Sounds good. So we have a dedication of merit that we say at the end of teachings in our community. So those of you who know it, please say. If you don't know it, go ahead and just take some deep breaths and be while we do this little ritual.
Hold on a minute.
Yeah.
You can either follow the refuge,
Mm-hmm.
or you can be a renegade. And I mean, do the not the refuge, the dedication. Dedicate the merit who you want to dedicate it to. Okay? That's all you have to do. All the people that you want to share this with, you just dedicate it to them. That's more important than following the formal dedication. Okay, go ahead.
In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly arise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly arise. In the world in general and in this nation, may not even the names disease, famine, war, and suffering be heard. May virtuous qualities, merit, and prosperity greatly increase, and may continuous good fortune and sublime well-being perfectly arise. By this merit, may all beings gain omniscience, and thus defeat the neurosis and negative actions which are the enemies. From the turbulent waves of birth, old age, sickness, and death, from the ocean of cyclic existence, may all beings be liberated.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Brendan, so much. Everybody will meet again next week. Same time. If you don't have the link for Zoom, you can check on Facebook, or I will post it in the Facebook events, so you can find it there. If you feel to do it, we still have to maintain our mortgage here at the center, even though we're all meeting online. If you feel like making an offering for the teachings tonight, you can visit this website that I'm putting in the chat. It's our website, and just /donate. So pmctr.org/donate. If you feel to, no pressure. These teachings are offered freely. One other note is that very soon, on April 7th, we will be starting a more formal Intro to Meditation course, which will run for 6 weeks on Tuesdays, starting on April 7th. And Christina Munson and Jim Lamancusa are going to teach the first round of these new 6-week iterations that we are putting together. There'll be a couple of them, and the Intro to Meditation one is the first one that we're trying to launch in an effort to build up our foundations, kind of just like what Brendan was teaching tonight about some real, like, let's go back to basics instead of worrying about some big concepts at this time. So look over email if you are new to the community. Like us on Facebook, and you'll be able to see all of those events as they come up and happen. So thanks, Brendan, and we'll see you in 2 weeks.
2 weeks, right?
Yep.
Okay.
I'll send you the
Thank
link.
you, Brenda.
Thank you.
Thank
Good
you.
night, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Good night.
Thanks, Brandon.
Good night.
Thank you very much.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Thank you, everyone.
I like hearing everybody's thank yous. Brendan already tossed out early. Bye, guys.
To
Bye.
meet you.
Thanks, Tracy.
You're welcome. Nice to see you, Barbara.
Nice to see you.
Carly, I see you. I'm glad you were here.
I finally figured out why you could see me. I do have to push that button.
Right, exactly. So next time you know, that'll be good.
Now I know.
All right, take care. Have a good night.
Next week.
Bye.
Do you see my husband there? That's Jay.
Hi, Jay. Nice to meet you.
Thank you, Cherry.
Sure. See you
Can you
soon.
tell me why I kept hearing bells sometimes?
Oh, that's a good question, because when someone comes into the chat room, there's a sound, and then when someone leaves the chat room, there's a sound.
There's a sound that sounds like a doorbell, ding
exactly.
dong.
Or like, door opening or closing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Did you think you were hearing some fairies from the fairy realm or something?
Like Brenda says, I always think there has to be something more.
I love it.
Bye, Terry. Bye, everybody. And Elwood, whatever his name was, he will write all of you. Good night.
Good night.
Shut up, Barbara. Say shut up, Barbara, because